Hey, what's up, everyone? This is RanDoM, aka Mark RanDoM, rapper, comedian, novelist, and philosopher. And this is going to be a difficult one to make because I'm going to argue or debate a top five in hip hop spot for Eminem while also acknowledging Lord Jamar and Benzino and their arguments are valid and correct. So, my brief history is when Eminem first actually it's hilarious is the first hip hop song I got into because I was a kid from the 90s was the Keenan and Kel theme song Coolio. So then I kind of like that song and obviously Bow Wow. I'm embarrassed, but Bow Wow kid rap. Then as I got older, I didn't like Eminem when he came out. I liked Tupac, but Eminem to me, I thought again, this needs context, but I'll say I was more into DMX or no Tupac, then I got into DMX, then I started getting into Jay-Z, but just because of the realness, and I'll explain when I got into Eminem. For the context of people watching this now, I know Eminem fans hate when you say anything even remotely negative or criticism about him because they follow him with blind faith, but I'll explain. The late 90s had this MTV generation, and it was like crazy white boy, and that's what it was. You had new metal bands like Limp Bizkit, who Eminem toured with, the sort of Kid Rock. You had TV shows like Jackass, which were white dudes doing drugs and crazy stunts. You had other shows like that. You had Tom Green, who was like a movie and a show of him just doing weird stuff. MTV was the generation that kind of had that type of energy. So when Eminem first came out and I saw Hi My Name, I didn't know which one was him. I didn't know if he was like the 50-year-old guy with the white hair. I didn't know if he was like the kind of Marilyn Manson creature looking guy. I didn't know, so I just passed it off as a gimmick. And this was before the internet, so people don't really understand. There was only a few channels to get music from. There was radio, and then there was like two channels on TV. So Eminem was played all the fucking time, like every hour on everything. They were making documentaries about his album, like his first or second year in. So, like when I misperceive something as like a whack cartoon gimmick, and then it's oversaturated, it made me resist it. So I didn't like him. I unfortunately didn't even really listen to him. Like I never heard the album. I just heard the singles that were like on the radio, the pop radio that they would play. It was when 8 Mile came out, and then I heard the 8 Mile soundtrack, and it sparked me like, oh, this is for real. Like, oh shit, this is real, you know what I mean? And then that's when I went back and listened to the Slim Shady LP and heard songs like Rock Bottom and If I Had and just Still Don't Give a Fuck and stuff like that. And I was like, oh shit, then I started putting it in the same like rotation and spins. So then I fucking love this guy, of course, white and everything. I'm on board, totally into it. But later, I wanted to say the joke white menstrual show. I wanted to save that for later when we're talking about Benzino and things like that. But so then I liked him, and then when he signed 50, everyone, that was like a hope. That was like in Toy Story, white reference. When you see the claw get taken out of the machine, when he signed 50, that was like anything's possible. It's unfortunately, it's one of those like some white person will save you and bring you in the business, or I know I'm white, but I don't know why that's why I looked at it. But then again, the pop stuff, Elton John and everything. So we can agree, people who want to dictate Eminem as a hip-hop legend, that his fan base is the worst. His fan base, what they don't understand is hip-hop is a black American culture. I don't like saying black because that's like a made-up Jew term, but Africans originated hip-hop in America, and there are groups that are the pillars of hip-hop, such as Brand Nubian, such as Big Daddy Kane, such as Grandmaster Flash, such as who was the guy who criticized Eminem recently, who was it, get it, I actually went to college things with Duke Booty, and me and him had great racial conversations. I'm just biding time until I can think of this. What was it? Melly Mel, right? So unfortunately, because Eminem fans now are just everything's all internet, they see Eminem have a bunch of numbers, they relate to the sound more, and they see Melly Mel, they hear the 980s sound, and they're like, oh, fuck this. So they think he might be wrong, and they don't conceptualize the sort of racial parameters, the cultural parameters, and the sort of like historical parameters, and that's something that I don't know if Lord Jamar will respect. Is Eminem's aware of that? He knows that, and he's navigated that with to the best of his ability with the respectful sword. Something that the white Eminem fans, they always say like I don't listen to rap, but I listen to Eminem type of thing. They don't understand that hip hop grew from this sort of culture. It's a religion to most. Like the KRS-One, Lauryn Hill, who people don't recognize as, to me, I would put her in the top 5. I know that's going to piss people off, but I would put her in the top 5 lyrically just for that one album. But so again, this is the benefit of Eminem, is that got me like hooked on it. Like, all right, like I love hip hop. Now I can like relate to this dude more. Well, no, because again, Eminem came out cartoony and gimmicky, whereas Tupac, when he talked about like his pain and his like sensitivity and his like wanting things to be better, and then DMX when he was coming in with like, yo, fuck everything, I'm hurt, this is a nightmare, this is hell. I was like, yes, man, I'm on this. So when Eminem got into that bag of like, I'm really trying to make something of myself, I fucking hate this, it feels hopeless, that's when I was like fucking a stan fan. I'm getting off track. What Eminem fans don't understand is they are in the back seat of hip hop, but the problem there, hip hop is like, if it were a show, the creators are on the stage, then the people who grew up around the foundation, New York City, are in the front row. Then I hate saying this because I know it's going to piss them off, but black people are in the front row and first row. White people, you are front row to if you want to comment on rock or metal. White people, you're in the front row if you want to comment on Taylor Swift, but you have to respect your position in hip hop that you are in the top back row. You can still comment on hip hop, you can still understand it, enjoy it, you can still hate on hip artists if you want, but recognize maybe your opinion should be 3/5 of counted in hip hop. I told you I'm random. That's what it is. Random as it's this metaphorical thing of the cult I grew up in and the street name and everything. I had the best of both worlds because I grew up in the burbs, 2-family. I came from a 2-parent house. No, but then, ended up in the streets and the cliche, what was it? Murder, sex, guns, drugs, and all that other stuff. So, but there becomes this moment where Eminem, the industry sort of turned, like hip-hop became mainstream right at the point where Eminem sort of peaked, because they tried it before with Vanilla Ice. The problem was Vanilla Ice was cool at first and he slowly started to get an accept, but once the mainstream, the corporations took him and threw him to the top, people just weren't having it. So that's where he got the reputation of being whack, when there would be no Eminem without Vanilla Ice. Eminem is like immature for not shouting out and saying how much he loves Vanilla Ice, because Vanilla Ice was legit MC for a little bit, but then popped off and became just pop star rapper. So there was this move towards making hip-hop mainstream or trying to figure out ways. So this is where the racial argument comes in, of them saying Eminem would have never sold as much. And I don't believe that, and this is unfortunately what I would debate to Lord Jamar and Benzino, and they would have to agree, they would hate it. It's not because Eminem's white, it's because it was a corporate manufactured function for the suburban white class. And I will give you an example. Tupac went diamond, Snoop Dogg went diamond. So you're already having these artists slowly integrate rock and rap and everything, and then Eminem comes with this poppy gimmick. But let's say it was Hopsin, and I don't fuck with Hopsin like that, because to me it's again like how Eminem, Slim Shady and everything. If an industry came out like Hopsin and then pushed it with the amount of promotion dollars that they did Eminem, he would have been as successful, because it's extremely average white people palatable, and he's hip-hop, but it's just, you get what I'm saying, there's a lot of theatrics and things like that. So to me that diminishes the racial argument. Now the thing that I don't like about the whole Eminem argument of like, is he a top 5 MC or belong, is again, the corporation hurt his career. It helped him rise to the top, what is it, in pop world. But what they don't understand is like Backstreet Boys, Christina Aguilera, Britney Spears pop groups and everything, they put out one album, they sold like 20 million in America. So when everyone talks about, oh, Eminem's numbers, it's like the Backstreet Boys had like a 2-year, 3-year hot run, and they sold about as much as Eminem, and like the same thing with like Limp Bizkit and those other groups at the time. So that discredit nothing to the credibility. So when you listen to the Marshall Mathers LP, which is what started Eminem's hate towards Benzino at 2.5. No offense to Eminem. Don't worry, Eminem. I'm going to fucking defend you so much more on this and give you props and all this. But it's like, what part of hip-hop culture does the specifically, I'm not talking Eminem as a lyricist, underground tracks, or features. I'm talking the Marshall Mathers LP. It's basically, here we go, I could say white minstrel show, like killing your mom, your baby father, raping her, baby's father. You get what I'm saying? Taking drugs, like crazy shit, trailer park living. I'm mentally ill, crazy. I take a bunch of pills and kill people, knives and stabbing and serial killing shit and things like that. So to me, if you're putting that in the context of like a Nas, a Jay-Z, a Tupac, a DMX, like it is a 2.5, and it wasn't gonna hurt your fucking at like Astro how you were shooting off. But to Eminem's credit, and no one gives him this, is he literally doesn't give a fuck if he sells 100 million, if the whole world loves him, if the core of hip-hop does not respect him or give him his validation. That's what eats at him every night. So what Eminem fans will never understand is Benzino's opinion means the fucking world to Eminem, or when it first started. So you have millions of white kids saying, 100 millions, saying, who the fuck is Benzino? Oh, just one album that no one's ever heard of, X, Y, and Z, and things like that. And, well, Eminem's our god and everything because he sold this much, and not knowing that Eminem was looking at Benzino like, fucking respect me, I hate you. Like, they always say Benzino lives rent-free in Eminem's head because Eminem's successful and Benzino just talks about it. It's like, no, at that point, for a good 15 fucking years, Benzino lived. Just one Benzino interview and a couple of tracks in 2002 lived in Eminem's head perpetual, probably to this day, why he still has that like insecure fighting for his spot. So the Eminem stans are the worst because then they talk about hip-hop fan groups like the Barbs, Nicki Minaj, Cardi B fans, toxic fan groups, and the only reason, Taylor Swift fans, the only reason stans are the most toxic fans are because they do comment and affect the wave of hip-hop. And that, you get what I'm saying? Like, Taylor Swift doesn't affect fucking the hip-hop culture or things like that, but Eminem does, and then his fans do. So it creates this fucked up problem. And Eminem he's the realest MC ever and the most corporate manufactured thing all in one, and that's got to be an extremely hard thing for Eminem to juggle. Like, to this day, I would have never been able to pull it off. I would have fucking crashed and burned a couple of years in, so shout out to you, Em. But then it's like, what he could have had was a real moment, like when Benzino threw the racial issue of like, hey, we just need to like watch out because of what happened to Elvis. Eminem could have sat down and they could have had some powwow of bringing it together. But I know the corporation, the Jimmy Iovine's, held Eminem back. It's very apparent in Eminem's beef when there were songs that were more hip hop and raw. I'm not gonna say Everlast, what like that type of stuff, but there was some rappers that dissed Eminem, that outsiders at the point, that it was more hip hop and more real. But the corporate that producted Eminem as their mascot was able to skewer the narrative that Eminem was the best, Eminem was tough. They skewered the narrative that Eminem was the fucking, like, toughest, all that other stuff, when, like, Benzino had people really out doing that shit, like crazy shit. Like, if I got into a beef with Benzino, the first thing I'd want to do is, like, let's see if we can de-escalate this, because I'm not a bitch. You're not going to play me like a bitch, but I know he has like armies of people and I'm just me, like sensitive old me. Like, if we got in a fight, I would probably cry about it. I mean, but I'd still take the fight or whatever. But I'm not trying to fight Benzino. I'm trying to make some peace on it because I believe Eminem to be a top 5 MC. So the corporations that overtook hip hop did use Eminem. And Benzino is valid for that, and Lord Jamar are valid, but also there is some haterism there. They should have just expressed their hatred towards mainstream and not used him as an example, because they don't want to admit that there was a lot of black artists at that time, and we're not going to mention names, that were the same thing, corporate, fake. They grew up two-family house in the suburbs, and they were portrayed as the most like shoot you all, kill you all, street drug dealing gangster. So to point out Eminem when the corruption that was going on, because then this is where real gangsters get involved, and this is where the confusion between like fake people rapping about gangsters versus real gangsters and their crew start coming along, and Eminem feels like he got hit at the precipice of him being a top 5 MC, him being when hip hop became like truly corporate and mainstream, like it was already on that trajectory without him, and then hip hop kind of becoming the sort of corrupt, if it were a rapper in itself, selling out, and then the gangster extortion around sort of at an all-time high. So people don't really, or Eminem fans will never, or the stans, I guess, will never acknowledge that the racial component, it's not even to Eminem. I'll defend that it's not even to Eminem. I'll defend that it's to their fans. You get what I'm saying? Like, if Eminem's fans didn't suck, I think Eminem, Lord Jamar would already give it up to Eminem back. He's the nicest MC. Now, the other problem is in protecting their corporate making $1 billion is they have to promote Eminem in such a way. And me being like a deep dive Eminem fan is I know his B-sides. I know his features. I know the unreleased songs. So like when I hear like a Big Daddy Kane, something Eminem could never fuck with, the KRS-One, a Big Daddy Kane, I could point out some fucking obscure song that leaked on the internet. Like, he can. Listen to the rhyme scheme. Listen to what he's talking about. He has content in this. He has, like, depth. He put his heart and soul into it. Every fucking thing rhymes. He switches up, like, 20 different flows, but it's a song no one's ever heard of. You get what I'm saying? So the biggest problem in Eminem's whole career was that the songs that were whack were promoted and advertised to sell as Eminem, but the songs that would literally, without question, and Lord Jamar and Benzino couldn't deny, would put Eminem in the top 5 were never promoted, never heard, never understood, and they couldn't put Eminem out that way. Like, I know he was just rapping crazy stuff, but the first verse of Marshall Mathers LP, like they said, I can't rap about being broke no more. Whereas like Jay-Z was always able to keep like his roots and where he was coming from and bring up these situations and give better perspective. Whereas Eminem was kind of forced in, again, white minstrel show of you're making us billions of dollars by being a fucking cartoony gimmick, be a fucking cartoony gimmick, and save all those heart passionate songs about, like, he's written songs about his uncle Ronnie's suicide, things that happened to him when he was in Missouri, jumping in the hospital as a kid because he got brain damage and shit like that. But nope, don't put that out. Just talk about killing your mom, drugs, and dye your hair, shit like that. You get what I'm saying? So it's like there's not the disconnect for sort of hip hop in itself. And again, the 2.5 mic is, it's like the Marshall Mathers LP. What in that is in the same category as hip-hop? There's only like 3 songs. Remember Me, the one with Sticky Fingers and the other people, Bitch Please with Nate Dogg on the hook, and what was the other one? Like, if he had kept the original Outsiders on Amityville, I'd be biased because I fucking love the Outsiders. But so this is where the sort of, it's not just that he was white, and it's not even just that it was a corporate, this is hip-hop selling out and they're using him as the hood ornament. This is the fucking, they're promoting him as something whack. Like, no offense, I love Eminem, but if I could have my choice, like if there was 100 white rappers at that time, he would not be the representative except for his lyricism. If there were Eminem rappers that had the same lyricism as Eminem, Eminem wouldn't even, if like 20 rappers with the same type of lyrical ability, the same subject matter and complexity had that, Eminem would never have gotten past like the year 2004. So again, Eminem has to walk that tightrope of he literally doesn't give a fuck. He just wants the respect. He it tears him up inside, or probably he's gotten over it. But when Lord Jamar, like, again, all the internet stands are stupid because they don't fucking understand what hip-hop is. It's a value of respect. It's a value of credibility. It's a value of being certified as a legitimate MC, putting your heart and soul into it. But now because everything's corporatized, it's so wishy-washy and everything. So all the, like, who's Lord Jamar, just sitting on a couch as a bum talking to this, not realizing that Lord Jamar in hip-hop is on a higher status than Eminem, and Eminem really gives a fuck what Lord Jamar thought for a good 10-15 years and things like that. And I really wish there could have been some racial resolve, but in the problem with that is Eminem being such a, like, mystique, introverted person, he's disconnected from real. But again, the corporations to hide his fucking image, or like, because Eminem's worth billions of dollars to corporations, and God knows how much his masters and royalties sell. So it's like he almost can't say anything. He has to be, like, tighter than a politician because he's a white person in hip-hop. So I would argue that, again, first, his skin color worked against him in the underground. It fucking sucked. Then to pop off in the 2000s when all the movies are about racial unity, you always have, like, fucking Jackie Chan, Asian guy, Asian culture, black guy, Chris Rock, black culture, every other fucking movie, cop, middle-aged white guy, middle-class white guy, and hood black dude getting along and all that. Like, everything. Eddie Murphy and Richard Pryor would even say it's so beautiful to have all these white people in the audience and we're together. So the 90s were really about racial unity and everything. So, like, Eminem to pop off at that would be the perfect thing. But I believe he had to deal with Viacom because, again, like, when Eminem first came out, I saw him as no different than, like, a Tom Green or, like, a Jackass. I didn't really respect him the way I did Nas, Jay-Z, DMX, and Tupac. And I couldn't get into Snoop Dogg because, like, I wasn't that developed enough. So when I heard Snoop Dogg's all about sex, and it just, I can't fucking... I was very different aged and grew up with different moral values about sex. So, yeah, I couldn't fuck with Snoop Dogg. I had the album, didn't listen to it for years and years and years. And then, you know, I'm biased. I kind of became I became like a stand towards Tupac, where I didn't even want to listen to, like, Mobb Deep or Biggie because, Tupac, you know, like, you have to make sides when your ego is all that other stuff. But it just creates now it's unfortunately worked against him slightly. Obama presidency. And that now, you know, because everyone found out the Occupy Wall Street 2011, the banks are screwing us, the government are puppets, and the media corporations program manipulate us. They're like, oh shit, they got onto us. So now racial division, sex division, gender division, all kinds of division. All the movies, all the music, all the stance, all the podcast proponents are all speaking racial divisiveness and speaking from other people's, and it's getting more polarizing and radical. So now you have Eminem, almost like the karma that he didn't face. There was too much racial unity. Not too much. There's never too much racial unity. Oh, Floridian slip. I got the racism of Eminem and Benzino in my head at the same time. I mean, if we really want to talk about the founders of hip-hop, Jews should be the only one. Oh, that is a fucking sick, awesome joke that, again, Eminem could never say because he's too in that corporate politics. Jews are the originators of hip-hop because what they did 300 years in America. I fucking love me. Even if I get killed, you can't say it wasn't funny. So yeah, then you have people that are pushed aside, and that's that argument of, did Eminem elevate hip-hop to the next level of now rappers, like, can be respected and loved and understood by hundreds of millions of people that would have never given into the culture, or did Eminem destroy it? Because you also have hundreds and millions of people that don't understand the culture that are now commenting, affecting album sales, affecting popularity, and then you have the corporate hold of rappers, of like a conscious rapper. I'll say this, Lord Jamar, he put out one album and it was about the 5%ers, and if we lived in a moral, just world, that would be an extremely high-selling album, not because of the rhymes, but because of the content, because of the knowledge he was dropping, because of the philosophy. Like, in a just world of, like, where black people could have actual black power, like, black African spiritual intunement. I don't like saying Black Power because, again, made up by corporations to program people, successfully did. And again, colors of white and black are just made up to dehumanize certain, because there's no yellow, brown. It's Asian, Indian, Filipino, Norwegian, South American, Mexican, Portuguese, black, white. So we know what the deal is there. But so Lord Jamar and Benzino put out some hot songs. That's the biggest problem with stans, is they don't understand hip hop. They don't understand the culture of it, but they affect those numbers and things like that. So I think we're getting a little bit past it. Eminem has to do a lot of overcorrecting. And again, this is the argument I was proposed to Benzino and Lord Jamar on why they're wrong. They know they kind of have free range to just shit talk, say the worst shit about him, and they can, because that's where we're at with the cultural, racial parameters. And they know Eminem, he like doesn't have his teeth. They know he has to be a fake politician and throw softball ass shit. Like, let's be real, and Lord Jamar will never admit this, Benzino will never admit this, Eminem could fucking eat them, to fucking destroy and annihilate, like, but they know he can't, because Eminem respects the culture too much. He respects the sort of racial parameters that are like very heightened, so he has to throw these weak bitch ass softball. That's why I think the whole MGK thing was staged, because MGK was another white rapper, so Eminem could go fucking hard on him, like no one gave a shit about that. And again, Joe Budden, because Eminem's team, he had the fucking, like, listen to, again, this is what I'm talking about, of arguing a top 5 MC spot. Eminem Revival was again, because it was politically made. It could have been made in a boardroom of Hollywood liberals, that what their message of what they want to say. Eminem, owned by the elites. He had a remix called Chloroseptic, and it was the sickest fucking, like, again, I put that up again. And the new one he put out with LL Cool J, it's the greatest, because it's like you don't know who the better MC is. But then that's the thing, is the teeth have taken out. So when all these people get mad about Eminem doesn't have content anymore, he's not saying anything, it's because he's just in that cycle. Like, if Eminem ever watches this, you're dumb for watching YouTube people who fucking failed at life. You should only I'm just joking. No, I succeeded in the 4th and 5th dimension because I was so ahead of everyone else, and now I'm just trying to be successful. And this little blip, 3rd dimensional in 50 years of my life, not saying millions and millions of years, but in these little 50 years, I like did the big macrocosmic projects first, and this is the little bit. But to Eminem is like, write a song not just about drug addiction, but how you get through it. Write a song about like what your day-to-day process is of like struggling with it. Write why you struggle with it. Write the traumatic things in your life. Write about that from a sincere perspective. You can throw jokes in there. You can throw some anger in there, but write about how that still affects you. Write about how you raise daughters. Like not just, I love my daughters, they are everything to me. I literally mean like coming from the environment he came from, coming from the type of situation he was dealt in, the circumstance in the world, loving him and hating him. How was he able to raise well-adjusted, mentally balanced, good daughters, plural, especially with the things that were going on with his ex-wife at the time? Like, if he wrote a, like, word for word how to raise daughters, like, that would be content. Him being transparent and real. But again, this is the thing of like, it's like he can't, because he has too many markets, and that's something that is now the disadvantage of, unfortunately, why I would love if Eminem did like 20 features a year, just underground mixtapes, but never put an album out again, because I'm always disappointed by his albums. Always, there's just never any content. Like, all right, like he raps about drug addiction, mental illness, suicidal thoughts, being crazy. Like, if that's real, maybe put that shit out there, because Eminem, since he did Recovery, is such a global figure of, well, Eminem could be sober. How do we know Eminem hasn't had a bunch of relapses, hasn't had a bunch of abusive relationships, hasn't had a bunch of fucking maybe wanting to kill himself and checking him into a mental hospital? If Eminem rapped about that shit, like if that was really going on in Eminem's life, even if he cartooned it up, like if we knew, like think about the news, right? Like 2007, 2017, Eminem checks himself into a mental hospital. 2018, Eminem relapses on drugs. Eminem gets clean for a few months. Eminem fucking suicidal attack. Eminem checks himself into mental hospital. Eminem on different medications. Eminem having delusional schizophrenic episodes, right? Then he puts out Death of Slim Shady or whatever the fuck. It would resonate because we would know he's like, it's not, it's real. You get what I'm saying? So it's like, to Lord Jamar and Benzino, would you want a Eminem with the gloves off and him to just be real? Because I can't imagine a kid from rural Missouri who grew up in, like, no defense, a Hickville, then had to go to Detroit, and then it's just black people beating him up, being racist towards him, might have the most politically correct racial feelings. And that's something, again, Lord Jamar can be as racist as he fucking wants. I get that's where the culture standards are, but Eminem can't. So it's like in an art form where the credibility is on your authenticity, Eminem ended up in a weird pocket where he's not able to do the one thing that he's capable of doing. He still fucking has it. He gets better each year, just lyrically, with wordplay and rhyme schemes and flows and everything, to where you could put him in the top 5. You might argue 3 or number 2. But again, if his fan base didn't do what, like, all the bullshit that they did, all the negativity, if they respect and understood the culture, and if Eminem was authentic, if we knew of the underground Eminem songs more than we knew about the sort of pop things. But that's, again, when Nas puts out an album, he just has to worry about hip-hop, what he's going on, and that sort of thing. And then, like, think of the market. Whereas Eminem has to... They have fucking walls of him painted in Beijing, China. They have a monument to him in India. They have, like, in Africa, English-speaking places. They have... So he has a market that is literally impossible on any metric scale except, like, a pop artist, a Justin Bieber, to fill. Like, there's that, like... Indian flute music that they still fuck with Eminem. So for him to try to be 100% a hip-hop authentic artist, it's just never going to happen. What I do believe, however, is if Eminem didn't have a team, if he fucking, like, didn't have... I think he keeps his circle as, like, an introverted thing, but if all those songs that Paul Rosenberg would be like, never release this, it'll destroy your career, it would fucking destroy his... But it would be real. Like, it would be songs that probably play a lot, because, again... Every single fucking album I fall for the Eminem's coming back and he's gonna be real, fuck the industry. I listened to it a few times, I'm like, damn it, he played this, he got me, he tricked me. I thought it was gonna be real, but it's like, I can't play this shit. Like, it's like, it's not for me. I'll say that. I'll say I'm happy for Eminem's success. I'm happy he's back having fun with rap, with his little characters and everything, but I'm just not on that vibe. Maybe if I become more successful in my life, becomes more happy, I'll get it. Like, maybe that's what it was, is Eminem was at a dark period of his life. My life existed as a dark period, just mentally, with, like, mental illness and shit. So, like, but like I said, like, if Eminem had all those things happen in, like, in his present fame life, it would kind of destroy, like, the corporation that owns Eminem would be like, oh my God, never let anyone know he, like, checked himself into a mental hospital. But it would make him more authentic to the Lord Jamars and the Benzinos, and the credibility of Eminem, of he studies hip-hop more than maybe any other hip-hop artist. And that's the most insane thing about it, is, like, there's probably a rapper that no one's ever heard of that literally probably sold 200 cassette tapes locally on the street in, like, the year 89, and Eminem has that cassette and he has the lyrics memorized. Like, he lives and breathes it more than so many rappers combined, and he has the lyrical ability, he has the flow, and he keeps getting better with time. But it's like, it's just, there's too many factors that's where he's always going to be in the debate. And maybe if let's say the Lord Jamars and Benzino's like, oh shit, that's what it is, has nothing to do with these white, we'll accept his lyrical now. What if we put Eminem as the #1 rapper of all time, ahead of a Big Daddy Kane, ahead of ahead of Rakim? Let's say all of hip hop, not the fucking stands, because again, they're 3/5. They don't matter. They're in the back and top row. They're in the back of the bus with their opinions. But let's say Lord Jamar, all the architecture of hip hop, put Eminem number one past Rakim. It might shatter Eminem's ego because he's built his whole persona. I'm the polarized guy that I want to be accepted in hip hop, and I kind of am, but I never really will be. So you could that's how you destroy Eminem. Fucking giving him the validation and respect destroys his 20-year psyche of being this overcompensating rapper, one of the greatest rappers, but also one of the unfortunate, insecure, greatest overcompensating rappers, and also one of the most fucking like corporate manufactured pop machine products. And again, and I'll say this, and I know this about Eminem, is people don't understand. They think if you're famous and you're that talented in something, you must be a literal god in many different kinds of facets. But what if all the people who are Eminem stans, right? What if all the people who look at him like he's a god met him and they got the same vibe as like a homeless person that's just talking weird, like an awkward, skeevy vibe? What if that? And again, I feel like maybe I think Eminem is as crazy as he like says he is. So I feel like that's the vibe I probably would get. I feel like that's the vibe he does give. So that's why he secludes himself. But that's also another issue is in his seclusion. I get it. What people don't understand is it's like he really didn't want to be famous, and it's apparent by just being a fucking shut-in and an introvert, which, by the way, I would fucking love that. Put an album out once a year, put like me for a comedy special, just some fucking podcast of things I want to say once a year and never have to interact with the world, but I get like all the benefits of it. But it's also like maybe for all you know, Eminem is even though he's 50 years old and now he's a grandfather and he has all these words, maybe he's still a like fuck the world hothead. So he doesn't want to be in a club or at a banquet and then just start fist fighting with someone because it'll fuck up his whole shit. And then it like will lead into some like other things that he's got going on. Like there's many reasons why you could why Eminem probably does that. But again, the most rational is if you take a kid from rural Missouri, like moved to, what was it, like Missouri, he moved all around. Wasn't he in Kentucky at some point? I'm sorry if that's wrong. Then Michigan, the streets of Michigan, the rural of Michigan, things like that all around. And you give them that fame, and then you give them that Michael Jackson like Prince level icon. Maybe his brain like literally can't develop to be a normal human being anymore, and he doesn't have the right things to say, and he doesn't have like, imagine talking to a 10-year-old a 10-year-old white kid about race politics. The only difference is the 10-year-old has just studied every single hip hop artist ever, every single trend in hip-hop, every single mastery of flow and different kind of lyrics and rhyme schemes, and spent his whole life doing that. Like, but he's still a 10-year-old white kid, so he like kind of doesn't understand conversations really. You get what I'm saying? It's like the mystics of Eminem having that is, it's gotta be it's like that needs to give respect to him, but also unfortunately it's the thing that hurts him. But I get why he can't like just show up to hip-hop battles and things like that. And that's unfortunately the thing of like remember what it was Taylor Swift and Eminem, is everyone's like, oh, what is it? It's like, no, that's him trying to be a normal person. That's the reason there was this weird thing is because Taylor Swift, to her credit, knows how to be a pop star. She knows how to be in the industry and be in the public and say the right things. That was Eminem like a groundhog, leaving his house for the first fucking time in years. So it's like, I understand that aspect, but unfortunately, it's like there's so many things that are against Eminem being the top one MC, where Lord Jamar and Benzino couldn't deny, and it's not his skin color, it's this circumstance of who he is, where he's from, how it cultivated the culture and time that we're in, and then the internet age, and then Eminem unable to be himself. Like, imagine like nobody wants to hear their grandfather rap. Imagine a semi-senile 70-year-old man like trying to adapt to the internet and things like that. Like, it's weird. Like, the new kids get it of what the TikTok is and everything, and Eminem has only had a team try to understand it and analysis and marketing people, but he himself I don't think understands it. Like, when they say he still has a flip phone, that's telling of that's his ability to understand. Like, if you fucking put like a podcasting system in front of him and a fucking Xbox internet thing, I bet it would blow his fucking mind, and he probably wouldn't like know what to do. And a flip phone, like the game Snake, is the most his brain can comprehend because he's from the fucking 70s. Like, the adaptation is hard. And then when you're become extremely famous, it's harder. And then when you're put in a bubble because of that, and then when you have the psychological trauma and issues that maybe he still hasn't worked out, it makes it even harder. Then when you have to please the whole fucking world and still maintain this title, because the one true thing that Eminem wants in his heart and soul is to be seen as the number one MC. So this is my argument of, can Eminem be the top number one rapper of all time? Kinda. You get what I'm saying? It's like it still is white, but like I said, I reiterate, I think if they had a black rapper like a Hobson, the same way that they marketed Eminem at that time in racial unity and popped off along with like the Backstreet Boys and then touring with like Limp Bizkit and all these rock acts, if they took a black Hobson like rapper and then toured him around all the pop world and all the rock world and the rap world, he would have been as successful. But I think Eminem is that sort of anomaly. So that's why I put Eminem in the top 5, and I wish all of hip-hop did, but I also wish all of fucking Eminem stans would realize that there are MCs that are on Eminem's level. Big Daddy Kane, Rakim. You get what I'm saying? Like, and that's the one thing that why also Eminem should get the credit and respect is he's wielded that power better than most people. Like, I will get so fucking disrespectful. It would hurt my feelings because that's the thing is Eminem doesn't give a fuck if he sells 100 million more albums. He doesn't give a fuck if he makes $1 billion. He doesn't give a fuck if the whole world loves him. The one thing he's wanted in his heart and soul as a rapper, as an MC, is to be the best rapper that there ever was, to try to be better as a rapper, and then to be acknowledged and validated as that. So, you get what I'm saying? He's still on that grind along with, the psychological trauma and unfortunate issues. So that's what I would propose to the Benzinos and Lord Jamars, who add the sort of racial elements. And then you want to get extreme Nation of Islam of saying, like white people are a different species. So they, like that sort of thing. It's like Eminem rose to the top. It has nothing to do with his fucking sales. It has nothing to do with his skin color makes it a weird thing, but it literally is, he is the best fucking MC ever. It just, except no one hears that. They just hear the whack pop shit that he puts out, and we can't hear the real fucking MC songs that are in his vault because he needs to protect that investment, and because he just came at this pop star time, and then he just got put in that, and then he is who he is. So literally, like, can Eminem be the top 5 rapper of all time? Maybe. A little bit, possibly. Is Eminem in the top 5 hip-hop artists of all time? Is Eminem the greatest rapper, the greatest MC in hip-hop? Kinda. You get what I'm saying? That's what it is. I literally think, do the top 5, have Eminem is on the side, Eminem, put an asterisk. How about that? How about we give Eminem an asterisk at the number 1 spot? Would he stop everything that he's doing? But you get what I'm saying? Like what if we put Eminem at the number 1 spot with an asterisk? And then that, like, I don't know. I fuck with you, Eminem. It's very strange. I go back and forth of like when he was putting out the mixtapes in 2003. There we go. we'll talk about classic Eminem albums. Of To me, he did a mixtape that was an album called The Re-Up, and he has a song on there called No Apologies. And to me, that is the greatest encapsulation of who he is. To me, that's my favorite Eminem song of all time. A mixtape that he even denies in his catalog. He always says, "Oh, drug. I went on a 4 or 5 year hiatus." It's like in 2004 to 2009. No, he put out the 2006 Re-Up album. He had some great tracks. Like Eminem doesn't have club tracks. They don't play Eminem in the clubs. He has club songs. It's just not marketed and promoted that way. He had the song "You Don't Know" with 50 Cent on the hook. That would play in the clubs. He has song like it just sucks that everything kind of worked how it worked. So yeah, it just if his fan base, the stands, understood hip hop culture, if Eminem wasn't beholden to the corporate Michael Jackson idolized status, if Eminem didn't have to cater to a billion fans with certain type of tracks and he could just be an MC, and if Eminem would be the greatest rapper of all time. So that's my thing. I'll talk about the time it was a meeting but non-meeting Eminem thing. I benefited and had success as a rapper. It wasn't big success, but it was, like $200 here, a tour here, selling albums here, selling t-shirts here, hooking up with these other rappers here, having that kind of lifestyle, getting better, being in studios with some legendary rappers and shit like that. Probably because of Eminem. You get what I'm saying? Like, that was, I don't even know if I would have taken a hip hop path, because again, there was the whole like, I can never be a basketball player because I'm white. I can never be a rapper because I'm white. And then you see Eminem do it, and I'm like, well, now the door is now open for white rappers. You get what I'm saying? So if you want to talk about who could be the next great white rapper, I'm there. And I could fucking add the comedy that Eminem is. There's the whole thing. Eminem busted out with the whole, what was his gimmick? The shtick, I'm the trailer park serial killer, incest and everything. I could pop up with I'm the fucking suburban trench coat mass shooter guy, the fucking gothic, mentally ill, schizophrenic, psychosis guy, been in and out of mental hospitals and shit like that, been in altercations that sometimes I cry like a bitch, sometimes I put it down. You get what I'm saying? Like, I've been the fucking spiritual aspect of always reading spiritual books and philosophy books and psychology books, putting that in my rhyme along with like fucked up things that I think about, that maybe there was certain wars America couldn't have got into. Then we're not talking Iraq war, we're not talking Ukraine, we're talking a little bit where it'd be extremely fucking polarizing, controversial, but maybe I feel that in my heart and soul. And again, the number one thing about hip hop is authenticity. Keep it real. He has to protect the billion-dollar brand. He might be just a crazy person with social issues where he doesn't want to go out and risk it. It's also a crazy climate for someone of his status and, just protecting his sort of image. But it's just, yeah, so could Eminem be a top 5? Is Eminem the greatest rapper of all time? Kinda. So there you go. MarkRandom.com, comedy special, music album. And again, I'm a rapper, not because, a white person want to be a rapper. I can't fucking sing. I can't be in metal. And I love hip-hop with my heart and soul because you can just be real. You can authentic. I can't fucking sing in a metal song and have a crowd cheer if I think America shouldn't have invaded World War II and that's what started a great racial division. I can't say that shit in pop, in EDM, not even in fucking flute music, Ireland. But in hip-hop, I can say it because I can just care if it's from your soul. And when I fucking scream these lyrics at the top of my lungs and put my literal soul into it, they just fucking love it. So shout out to you, Eminem. You're weird for watching this video because I'm a no-name rapper who can fill an audience of like 40 people. If I'm doing shows with other rappers, 200 at most. But, it is what it is. RanDoM. Mark RanDoM. The comedy god. I'm going to be fucking filling stadiums and taking comedy. It is what it is. All love. So it'd be interesting if Lord Jamar watched this because, again, now he's in a politics space where he can be 95% real, but now he has, like, everything's political nowadays and everything. So it's just, It's all fucking politics.